Hey, good morning, my people. What's up? It's been a while since I've done anything. Been kind of busy for the past couple of days, but here I am today. Today, is Saturday, the 7th day of March, 2026, and the time now is 20 minutes after the 10 a.m. hour. Well, I was catching up on my reading, and I try not to do this. That is, when I'm discussing an issue, when I'm making one of these videos, I try to keep the discussion on one topic, so that persons don't get distracted. But as I got caught up on my reading, I came across these two articles, and I decided I was going to twin them together because I think they have something to do with one another. The first one is Cabinet weighs phased increase to the minimum wage, which we know is $9 an hour, which we know we can't live on, reasonably, that is. And the other article is Immigration Amnesty expected to begin on April the 2nd, one day after All Fools Day. I smiled when I saw the date. So I decided that I was going to twin those two discussions there together. And I think I want to start off with the one with the minimum wage because that one affects all of our pockets, at least those of us who are not exposed to a pool of persons where we can creatively enrich ourselves. Um, we work around that. Let me do. The cabinet, the article says, article dated the 5th of March 2026, cabinet weighs phased increase to minimum wage. The government is considering an increase to the national minimum wage, but has opted to conduct further consultations before making a final decision. Cabinet officials said following their latest meeting. So this apparently is after cabinet meeting. When they say conduct further consultation, that is just to talk to the business people and them to see if then go with the business people or whatever cases. That's basically what that is. The National Minimum Wage Advisory Committee has completed its review of the existing wage framework and submitted recommendations to the cabinet after consultations with stakeholders across several sectors. So the Minimum Wage Committee would have had this broad-based consultation. Remember, no, business is a part of that committee, right? The business sector is a part of that committee. So they would have been a part of whatever the discussion was, leading to the recommendations that went to government or cabinet. But as is the case normally, the business people get two bites at the cherry. At the National Minimum Wage Committee level and through quote unquote further consultations. The committee examined the proposal to increase the national minimum wage from $9, Morris or Merchant said during the cabinet briefing. However, cabinet decided not to announce a new rate at this stage and instead opted to additional discussions before any changes are implemented. I'm now go through the whole article. It's there on Antigua Newsroom, as I said. It's dated the 5th of March 2026, but just to give you a snap is what I'm saying. So, as I said again, and I will just repeat it, the business sector is represented on this National Minimum Wage Committee. So they're part of the discussions, the broad-based discussion, broad-based consultations is there. Whatever comes up for that um, recommendation that goes to the cabinet, the practice has been, because I was once a part of this committee, the practice has been that the employers, the business sector, get another bite when they have discussions or when cabinet discussions. Because I know everything surround campaign funds and if this business is going to support you, etc. That's what I am saying. That is my belief. Right? So they get two bites of the cherries. Anyway, as was the case the last time, um, if you remember the discussion, you'll know why I'm saying what I'm saying. Ultimately, the cabinet makes the final decision as to what is happening here. I'll make a prediction. I spoke to my people in certain places, and I have got enough information to form an opinion. I'm not going to say nothing because I give certain persons my word, but I'll make a prediction to you. What is going to happen? they're going to, that is, they being the government, they're going to set talk. I think you talk about phase. Did they say about phase? Yes, phased increase. Whatever they decide on, whatever government decides on to be the increase they're going to give. Let's for argument's sake, say that they're going to move it from $9 to $13. You might find that in the first year, they might add $2. And then in the last year, they might add another $2, which would now cover the 2 year span where the National Minimum Wage Committee should meet again to look to make any adjustment if necessary. I'm going to predict that that's going to happen. Time will tell. Anyway, that is that article there in relation to the minimum wage. Now, let me move on to the other one now, the immigration amnesty expected to begin on April 2nd. And this is why I'm doing both of them together. Let me go into that a little bit. That's dated the 5th of March also. So persons can go on the Antigua newsroom and have a read because I'm not going to read the whole thing. Government plans to launch a 3-month immigration amnesty beginning April 2nd for undocumented migrants who have been living in Antigua and Barbuda for at least 4 years. Cabinet officials said. The measure forms part of the proposed amendments to immigration legislation that are expected to be debated in Parliament later this month. Director General of Communication Maurice Merchant said Cabinet agreed that the amnesty program would run for a limited period while authorities process applications for eligible migrants. Quote, they also agreed that amnesty itself will start on the 2nd of April and will run for 3 months, Maurice Merchant said during the Cabinet briefing. Officials said the program will apply to individuals who have been residing in the country for 4 years or more without legal status. So for 4 years or more without legal status. The 4 years start in terms of how long you've been in Antigua. They think it's adequate, Maurice said, noting that research suggests most individuals likely to apply for the program have been living in the country for at least that length of time. Right? Where is it? Let me just go down again. The government also reduced the proposal. They reduced the proposal application fee. They recommended $250, and apparently it was $500. Originally suggested in the draft legislation. Okay. The original bill recommended $500 processing fee, he said. Under the proposal, the chief immigration officer would be responsible for reviewing and approving applications submitted during the amnesty period, and Parliament is expected to consider the immigration amendment bill on the 23rd of the month when lawmakers will debate the details of the program before it is formally implemented. Well, if I was a politician on the opposition side, I don't know if I'll be going to Parliament that day. Of course, the opposition people they're looking votes. So they know that the Labour Party will probably, oh, I have something against foreigners. Now remember, the minimum wage is $9. And government is looking to phase in whatever recommended figure they're going to go with. Because I think in that article it says some employers might not be able to bear the strain of whatever cases. But at the same time, persons who have been here living illegally 4 years plus, they want to regulate them. The other day, motor vehicle owners was called upon to pay extra money so that they can fix the road. That's it. But yet still, there's a recommendation for $500 for this. But they see the need to drop it to $250. Yeah, they see the need to drop it to $250. But they raise your license fee or my license fee for the vehicles that I have put on the road. You see how life is? If you've been following what's happening in the international arena, look at what's happening in the States in relation to its immigration policy, right? What a sensible country is doing? They're trying to regulate the immigration thing, send back home people who are not contributing to their economy. Now, if these persons are not working, according to the article, they have been in the country, they're out of regulation for 4 years plus. It has to mean that they're working here without making a contribution. And I'm talking about the contribution to the statutory bodies. You have to mean that. Because how you get a work permit if you're not in time? How do you get a work permit if you're not in time? Well, see, everything comes down to trying to get votes to stay in power. This what is happening in Antigua reminds me of what is happening in the UK right now. Again, people need to listen to international news to broaden your horizon. The Labour Party government in Britain, they're spending they're spending because it's already passing their budget. They're spending more money on benefits. They call it benefits. America call it food stamp. Antigua might call it what they call it, some vouchers. They're spending more money on that. There's a law where they would have capped persons who are not working to two children, in terms of the benefits they get. They have gone and they have upped that cap. I think it's either 4 or 5, and they say they're taking children out of poverty. Now, if you know you had two children you have problems with financially maintaining. You want to have 3 more, and that makes sense. But you see, the vote or the perception that they'll get the vote. You know what I mean? That's how it is. That's how politicians are. What is happening here remind me of what is happening in England. But one thing I know for sure, it must fall. There's no two ways about that in my mind. It must fall. Again, going back to the international arena again, there's this war going on now between Iran, Israel, and America. And Iran would have attacked certain other surrounding countries. One of them being Cyprus. Cyprus, not America, not USA. England having a base in Cyprus was attacked. England they even have money for defend them base. Other countries have for defend them base. They have 6 ships, 6 naval ships. None of them ready for good. None of them ready for good. 3 of them, 2 of them will get some kind of repairs, and then they say they could deploy one, and that they can't leave on a week. But at the same time, instead of England spending money on their defense that they need, they put it in the Labour Party government put it in benefits, as they call it. Why? Because they're a pander to the Muslim votes and the backbenchers, the representative on the backbench. There is a cost to be paid. There is a cost to be paid. I mean, Trump came, and people said this and that about Trump. I say Trump is a sensible man to me, and he loves his country. America is carrying the financial burden for NATO. Right? America is carrying the financial burden for NATO. Trump come and say, no, I supposed to pay 2%. And I not even pay the 2%. And we must carry the burden for you? No. If you not pay, I will not defend you. Me greedy. You're going to hear people around here talk about international law now, kind of bullshit, if you ask me. But in the real world, that's what happened. In the real world, that is what happened. Now, how does that tie back to Antigua? The minimum wage. Look at the minimum wage. Look at how they're struggling to carry it up. All the good, the Antiguan economy good. A livable wage, the persons who know about this thing tell me should be around $15. Around $15 an hour. I don't want to give a figure yet as to what was proposed to the government. We'll wait and see what the government say, and then we'll tell you what the proposal was. But the economy is so good. And with things the way it is, people here, people come here, cannot stay in time. Are you going to tell me about amnesty? Or continued amnesty? Or extended amnesty? Let me tell you all one thing, right? One time I was speaking to a young lady who is a non-national, and the issue of the amnesty came up and so. And she was ratted. And I was kind of taken aback. Because I was saying to myself, I would have thought that, that's something you would have liked or whatever. She would have liked or whatever the case is. She said, no. When I came here, I had to pay my way. I had to pay my way, keep myself up to date and blah, 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 move on. So what am I then the condom? So y'all politician who believe it's going all your way, I can tell you, it has gone the next way for some. Because I know some of them, because of that, didn't vote for y'all. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. So that is why I wanted to twin these two things together. And we'll watch and see. We'll watch and see. Will the government recommend $15 an hour, which is a reasonable, livable wage based on conditions in Antigua? We'll watch and see. We'll watch and see what they recommend. We'll watch and see how they phase it in according to them. But remember, I tell you, whatever their figure is, because the recommendation is, that's all it is, a recommendation. They decide what it is. Whatever their figure is, they're going to bust it in two. Give you one in the first year, the half in the first year, half in the second year, and by the time the second year come around, according to the law, the time would have come for the national minimum wage to again look at the situation and make a recommendation if they so see fit. And that's how they think they can fool people. Well, they can fool some of the people some of the times, not all of the people all the times. And I do these things, these videos, so that persons cannot say they don't know the issues. Once you know the issue, whatever you do with your vote, I really don't care. In my mind, mentally, you know what I've switched to now? It's like the hurricane season. Hurricane season coming up in June. I would have had a list that you would have developed over the years, add to blah, blah, blah over the years. So, when June comes, you have to do these things in preparation of a hurricane. If it comes, you're not found wanting. I start to do that mid-May, going into June every year. What I've said in my mind, or the adjustment I've made in my mind, this country, if it continues how it's going, it must fall economically. It must. It cannot sustain. It just can't sustain itself how they're going. And I'm trying my darndest to put myself in a position or to prepare myself in a way that when an evil happens in my lifetime, I would have prepared. As I'm just saying that, my mind run on the thing in the Bible with the 10 virgins. When 5 of them have oil in the lamp and the rest of them burn out the oil, when they go, the master come and go and lock it up when they come back. My mind just ran on that as I'm saying this. That is what I have decided. I've made that commitment a few months ago to make sure I try to put myself, if the Lord still have me here, in a position where when and if it falls, because I think it will, based on the ignorance I see going on around here, I would have made some preparations for it. I hope and trust that the sensible ones out there who are listening and grasping the message that I'm trying to share will be wise like that also. For the rest of them, who they come and then give $1,000, $5,000, $4,000 for getting a vote, you have it done. And if that is what you're worth, that's just your worth. I don't worry my head about them kind of things no more. Once you know once you get the message, you make the choice I want to make. Because in the end, you're the one who's going to live with the consequences of your choices. I'm going to do another video just now on APUA. As I said, I try not to do all of them together because I like to keep it focused. But I saw an article about APU and I smiled because, as Josiah told me, my old boss told me some time ago, the truth, you can step in it like cock in the water. The waves and then go come and knock you off balance and the truth, the fly back up. You can push it back on again, but it can happen again. You can come up. And when I read that article in the APUA, I smiled to myself because the truth just surfaced. They can push it on again. It will surface again. Until we come together again, my people, bless up.